what I like to do is I like to go to my hub, for example, and educate you on how your bicep is moving. You know, it's not just a bicep curl. It's the fact that you have muscle insertions and insert here, insert here, insert here. And by you doing this movement, that's what's happening. That gives me drive.
Welcome to Bigger Than the Hustle podcast. We're here every week with real insights from true people. You know, being an entrepreneur, it takes more than just the energy it took to create it. It takes a mindset and a lifestyle that totally immerses you in a way of your passion. And here I've got a guest with me who I got introduced to about 5 years ago, and he helped me on my fitness journey. And since then, I've just grown and grown. And I've followed him on social media. I've seen his posts. I really like what he does. He's got a good mindset. He really knows his stuff, and he's in the space where I'm sure over this next hour we can learn something. So I'm just going to hand over to Helder. Hello, Helder. How are you?
Hi guys. Thanks for having me, buddy.
Good. Just a little intro into yourself, and then we can get going.
So my name is Helder Barosso. I'm Portuguese, born in Portugal. Moved to the United Kingdom with my parents and my brother in 1996. As you mentioned, I'm in the health and well-being fitness world. Currently, I'm a coach where I coach mostly general population on how to improve their health, on fat loss, on nutrition. And I mean, I think when you talk about a coach and a personal trainer, we're talking about two different people. And I consider myself as a coach. I don't consider myself a personal trainer. Although people may see me as a personal trainer, that's not what I look at, because when I coach clients, I coach them in every aspect of health and well-being. So we're talking about movement, we're talking about mindset, we're talking about sleep, we're talking about digestion, we're talking about stress, we're talking about psychology. I mean, it's a big circle of things. And that's what I do, and that's what I love to do. I love working with general population for the simple fact that they are the most challenging people to work with. It's really easy to work with athletes. Their mindset's strong. They do as they're told, and that doesn't appeal to me. So what appeals to me is picking up Jane around the corner who's never ever looked at their diet or sleeps really poorly. Is borderline type 2 diabetic, and I'm able to change their life and add 10 to 15 years to their life in many aspects. So I own my little studio where we'll call the HP Health Hub. It's very small, just how I want it to be, because I want only people to come in there who are willing to change, who are willing to actually take on the steps to becoming better. So it's not about numbers, it's about quality for me. And that's where I am at the moment. That's it, really.
Perfect. Now, you said there's a few things you mentioned there just about what you do and how you try and do it. And you talk about coaching being, it's facets of lots of things, not just saying, here's a weight, pick it up, do 10 of them, there you go, see you later. Yeah. Now, you know, you've obviously been on a journey to be where you are now. Okay. So can you just tell me a little bit about your upbringing? You know, like you said, you came from Portugal. Again, you've come to this country new, and I find that quite inspiring because, again, you are in the generation like my parents were, coming through and really just having to work it out because this is a new environment, new area you're in. A lot of the time you don't speak the local language as well, so you have to learn that. And then you have to learn the nuances and the indigenous in the UK population. It's a unique bunch. And you need to learn that as well, you know. So you're learning lots, and in the meantime, you're dealing with your own emotions, your own family, and you a lot of the time, you're probably wondering, why am I doing this, you know? So can you just go through a little bit of your backstory? Because I think that shows where a person comes from about where they are now.
Absolutely, yeah. So basically, like I've said, I was born in Porto, which is north of Portugal. I've got a very small family. So it's me, my mum, my dad, and my brother. And then I grew up with my grandparents from my mum's side. And my granddad was my best friend. His name was also Helder. Really, to be honest with you, both my grandparents brought me up most of the time. My mum was at work all the time. My dad was at work all the time. It was my grandma and my granddad that would take me to school, pick me up, and cook my dinners, cook my lunches. Pretty much, they looked after me for my young life. So, to be honest with you, I had a really good life as a kid. Really, really good. I lived in a really lovely town, 5 minutes from the beach. I had a load of friends. I was a popular kid at school because I was pretty good at football. Both boys and girls like that. So I was popular. I was a popular kid. I had lots of friends. And, I was loving life, really, to be honest with you. The weather was amazing. We used to have really long summers in Portugal. And school in Portugal breaks up for about 3 to 4 months in the summer. So it was amazing. I've got really good memories of my childhood, to be honest with you. I don't have any sad moments apart from the fact that when my granddad passed away, and I was still very young at that point. I was only 12. But vivid in my mind exactly what happened at that time, still to this date. But apart from that, I had really good upbringing in terms of my grandparents and my mum mainly. My dad was not really involved for many years of my life. My dad didn't really get involved until I was probably 23, 24. So a long, long time. My dad was much involved in his life. My dad was a professional footballer. So he just had his own life, to be honest with you. We didn't really hear and see much of him, to be fair. But I've got really positive views on my childhood up until I moved to this country. So in 1996, I was 15 years old. My dad decided to move to the United Kingdom for whatever reason. To this day, I still don't know the deeper root of why he moved there. But with my dad, it was one of those, well, we're doing this. And my mom had to say yes, and the kids had to say yes, basically. So my dad actually moved to the UK by himself on the 2nd of June, 1996. And to be honest with you, I didn't really care. My life was still the same. My mom was there. My grandparents were there. I'm happy because he was never around anyway. It didn't really make much of a difference to me. Then on the 9th of June, we came. My dad bought us a ticket and me and my mum and my brother flew to the United Kingdom. Bear in mind, I've never been on a plane in my life. I've never left Portugal. And I didn't really know what was going on, to be quite honest. I didn't know whether this was going to be forever or I didn't know. There was a bit of an excitement in my mind thinking, well, I'm going to a different country. I'm going on a plane. This is all new. This is great. But so anyway, I still remind, this is in my mind like it was yesterday. I'm on this plane and as I'm landing in United Kingdom and I landed in Gatwick, I never forget, I was 15, I'm now 39. It was nighttime and I started crying on the plane. Mum was like, why are you crying? I goes, I want to go home. She goes, what do you mean you want to go home? I goes, well, where are you taking me? Like, I don't want to go to a different country. I just want to go back to my friends and my house and my family. I don't want to go to a different country. Why are you doing this? So my mum tried to say it's going to be okay, whatever. We landed. My dad came and picked me up and my mum with some guy that I've never met in my life. Took us to this house. So we lived in a house for about 3 months. This is in Hampshire, Fleet, which is down south, M3 way, near London. And it was a 5-bedroom house. An English family owned this house and they lived there as well. And again, this was very different for me. So there was a family living there with 2 children. And my dad had rented 2 bedrooms of this house. So basically, we were only allowed to go to those 2 bedrooms. They had a little sitting room downstairs that we were allowed to go to, and the kitchen. So you were not allowed to go anywhere else within the house. So basically, we landed, I think it was a Sunday, if I remember correctly. Monday morning, my dad and my brother, my mum, went to work. And they said to me, well, you're going to stay here with your brother. I was all right. So I'm 15 and my brother is 6, right? So they've gone to work the whole day. And I'm like, in this house, my brother, I'm like, what the hell do I do? You know, it was, and I just cried. I cried. I'll be honest with you, I cried probably on and off for 2 years. It was a really sad time. Now, this went on for about 3 months. While my parents went to work, I just stayed there, looking after my 6-year-old brother. About halfway through this 3-month thing that was happening, you know, I'm 15. I'm thinking, how the hell can I get out of this? You know, this does not work. I'm very unhappy. I couldn't understand what my parents were doing. I couldn't understand the world at that moment in time. I'm like, why have I been taken away from my environment to do this? You know, my dad never sat down with me and explained to me, this is why we're here. He just said, you got to do it, whether you like it or not. And if I'd cry, he'd beat me up. Simple as that. There was no other way around it. So this is, my dad must have got this magazine, Portuguese magazine, with all the businesses of Portuguese people within the UK, mainly London, because we're near London. So I'm sitting there one day and I'm flicking through this magazine because it was all in Portuguese. And bear in mind, I don't speak English. I couldn't speak English. I didn't even know how to say good morning. So I'm just sitting there. My brother's playing, whatever. I'm just flicking through this thing because I couldn't understand it. I'm flicking through and I'm like, oh. And there was an advert for a courier service. So big lorries would bring things from Portugal to the UK, such as food or whatever, to sell to the Portuguese people that lived in the UK. And in London, I think there was up to about 1 million Portuguese people living there at the time, probably more now. So I thought, well, this might be a good idea. So I'm going to call these people. I'm going to tell them that I ran away from home, from Portugal. I made my way to the UK somehow. I don't have a passport because I don't know where my passport is. I've lost it. I want to get back home and I'm desperate, right? So I rang this company up. This is no lie. My parents will tell you because I'll tell them afterwards. I rang this company and I said, look, my name's Elder. I said, I'm 16 years old. I lied. I'm 16 years old. I ran away from home. Some person brought me to this country and I'm really scared. I was scared and crying anyway. So I started crying on the phone. I just want to go home. I have no money. Do you have a lorry or anything going back to Portugal? Anywhere in Portugal will do. I don't care where you take me. Just take me home, and then I'll find my own way when I get there. And they just started asking me questions. So how did you get here? I goes, oh, some guy offered me this and this, and I just made crap up. Anyway, we got to a point where we agreed that she would call me back and she would let me know what the situation would be. So I got a phone call. I gave her the number that you could, back in the day, you could literally redial.
Yeah.
So she redialed the number back. She said, this is the number. I goes, yeah, this is the number. Call me on this number. So she redialed the home number about a day later. So I picked up the phone and I didn't think nothing of it. I didn't think she'd ring me back, but she rang back. She goes, right, I've got this gentleman. He's going to be going by where you are, near where you are. It's a motorway called M3. There's some services there. If you can make your way to those services, he'll take you in the truck and he'll take you back home. And then when we get to the borders, we'll explain that you've been obviously, you left home and you don't have a passport, and there'll be ways to get you into Portugal because you are Portuguese. All right, fine, let's do it. I'm down for it. So we arranged the time, we arranged the date. Anyway, in my mind, like I'm not telling my parents, I'm going, right, without telling them. So I'm in my mind, I'm not sleeping. It was about 3 days later that was supposed to happen. I'm not sleeping, I'm thinking about it. I'm like, okay, how the hell am I going to do this? How am I going to find my way to this motorway? So I started doing some research, looking, there's yellow pages in the house. I picked the yellow pages up. I'm looking around to see taxing companies, whatever it might be. And then I was looking for money. So basically I stole about coins from here, there, and everywhere to have money for the taxi. Anyway, the morning came and my parents had gone to work, and I'm lying here, my brother's lying next to me. I'm like, how can I leave him here? He's 6 years old. I can't take him with me. And there's no one in his house for like another 8 hours. what if something happens to him? So this guilt trip in my mind started kicking in. I'm like, well, I can't leave my 6-year-old brother.
That didn't come part of the initial plan, did it? You didn't work that bit out.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that at all.
Yeah.
I just thought I'd go and that's it, right? So then I chickened out. I didn't go because I didn't want to leave my brother. So that was a really like bubble in my mind. I'm thinking, hang on a second, I can do whatever I put my mind to.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've just organized this. I can't even speak English. I'm in a foreign country. I've just organized and made someone believe me that they can take me back to Portugal. So
perfect. You know, just hearing that backstory, you know what? It just gives me an idea of the depth of emotion you had to deal with from, you know, 15 is still a young age. You know, we look at, I think when I was 15, I think we had a lot more maturity because we had to deal with a lot more. You know, I look at a 15-year-old now, there's nothing, you know, to think that, to see a 15-year-old now that would even think in this way, I don't think it's even possible. Do you know what I mean? Life is just different right now, right? So, fast forward from that period, okay, and lots has happened over the last, 20 years or whatever it has been since then.
I'm 22 now.
And it's given you, one thing I've noticed about you, even when I met you, is that you have an immensely strong mindset, okay? And I think it's those tough moments when we're young and the tough moments when we're growing up that, you know, squeeze us into a shape, which give us a mindset of, you know what, I don't give a fuck. Really.
Do you know what I call that? I call that building calluses in our brain.
Yeah.
You know, when you go to the gym, right? For the first time you walk into the gym, you grab the bar in the gym, you come home and your hands are messed up, right? They're like, you've got all this skin coming out. But over the years, you carry on going, and now it's like normal. There's no skin coming off anymore. Mm-hmm. And this is what I feel about the brain. I feel that there's, whatever we go through in life, it builds those calluses in that brain, so you become stronger, you become more resilient to whatever you go through. And I mean, and there's always going to be other things that I knew that are going to create that skin splitting thing in your brain that you've never experienced before. Mm-hmm. But then again, that's just building the callus. That's just building the callus. And you become this human being that you pretty much strong-minded because of those calluses being so strong. And I believe that's exactly what my upbringing as a child, like I said to you, I was very, from till the age of 15, it was pretty easy. You know, I was probably very soft as a child, and I probably would have been not as strong as I am today if I didn't go through what we went through when we moved here.
And I think exactly, you know, what you said there, it's funny because if you actually met me during the times of school and college and things like that, I was very insecure, very unconfident as a person. And really, I never wanted to raise my head above the parapet, you know, where you just want to, you know, there was no, I would say more or less, there was no confidence at all. I had great one-on-one. I got on with a lot of people one-on-one. You put me in a group and I was scared. You know, I didn't feel I had enough in me to really be somebody within that. I had a lot of people around me that were great, you know, in terms of speaking up and things like that, but I just didn't have that in me. And it's only as, you know, going to university and moving through life that's built me up to the person I am, and going through a tough time, which has then pulled me on the other side, that creates this person you see today. Do you know what I mean? So I, you know, when I talk to young people, I say, you know, don't look at me and say that's how it's going to be. There's so much still to go, you know, there's so much still to happen. So don't try and put yourself in a mold right now. Let yourself be who you are, you know. Just going back to your younger days, who do you think was the most influential person in your life?
Well, growing up until the age of 12, would have been my granddad.
Yeah.
Sorry,
and you mentioned he passed away, right? And when you were 12.
Very young, yeah, he passed away with stomach cancer at the age of 63.
And how do you keep his memory alive in you?
So basically, his name was also Helder, right? So I was named after him.
Yeah.
That was my mum's dad.
Okay.
And really, I was brought up by him and my grandma. So he was a big influence in my life for the simple fact that he was the only man that was in my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because my dad wasn't really around that much. So I looked up to him a lot, and he was the kind of person that he's capable of doing anything. So you ask my granddad, like, for example, I'll give you an example. back in the day in Portugal, I don't know how it is now, but pigeons used to be something that people used to have as pets, but not just as pets to cuddle, but more to race. They used to race pigeons. So my front door neighbor, they used to have a big house full of pigeons, and every day you'd open the window, you'd let them out, the pigeons would go for ages, all together, around and around and around, and then a certain time you'd go in there, call them, and they'd come in. And that, I was like, wow, I want to do that. You know. So I said to my granddad, Granddad, I want to have pigeons. He was like, all right. I goes, so how can we do it? He goes, oh, don't worry, I'll build you one of those and we'll just go and buy them. I'm like, okay. So from overnight, he built me this big thing. We went and bought the pigeon, and we started doing what he was doing. I was like, so as a kid, you think, wow, my granddad is a genius, you know, he can make anything happen. But, you know, also there's a story that, you know, that my grandma told me and my granddad told me. And that's one story that sticks in my brain many, many, many times. And I've told this story to all my closed ones. So my granddad was a fisherman. That was his trade. So he'd go out for 3 months at a time to the sea, to deep waters, be out there for 3 months and come home. And then you'd be at home for 3 months and go out for 3 months, come home for 3 months. It was a very tough job. So all I realized, my granddad was a very active, slim, he had veins everywhere. You know, there was no gyms at that time, you know, but he was strong. Like anything, he, for me as a kid, he was capable of anything, right? Anyway, there was one time that I don't think I was born at this time yet, but then the story came out that there was a big storm when my granddad was out in the sea. And basically the boat captivated, and everybody died apart from my granddad. So my granddad apparently was in the water for 2 days.
Wow.
In 2 days, and he swam to almost to shore, and then someone come and got him. But the story was like, how the hell did you survive in the cold water for 2 days? You know, and no one could believe it. And when I asked my granddad, I'm like, what was it? He goes, well, I didn't want to die. So I just did what I had to do. You know, it was just a survival instinct. You don't think about it. You just do what you've got to do. And he survived. And, you know, just that story, every time I go through anything in life, or it's never going to be that bad. I mean, I'm not fucking in the middle of the sea about to drown. I don't even know whether someone's coming, you know? Or you're probably thinking, I'm going to die at some point, anytime now, you know? So that's the one thing that sticks in my brain the most when I think about granddad.
And I think the analogy you just used about, you know, when he said that was a sea and he just swam. And because he had the strength, he could swim, right? And he could just get to by. And I think today, you know, people's minds are their sea, you know, in terms of, some people feel like they're swimming, some people feel like they're sinking, and it's a huge ocean. And really, sometimes you can just be swimming without aim and without purpose. And swimming without
I think a lot of people are swimming without purpose.
Yeah. And without purpose, like, you know, there's no real light to swim towards, to give you hope, to say, actually, this is possible. Because all you see is just water around you, right?
But you know what, though? This is the thing I often think to myself about this kind of stuff, you know, especially with the demographic that I work with, you know, all I'm trying to do most of the time is trying to change people's thought process.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not necessarily trying to change habits. That's down to them to do, not to me. Mm-hmm. All I'm trying to do is educate them in a manner that they understand that this is important, right? Because I can't change someone's way of living. I can't do that. I can only educate them in a manner that they understand. So but often I sit there, I'm like, how can I deliver this in such a way that it sinks in? You know, because there's certain things that they do that I can't understand. My brain just doesn't process. You know, it's not that hard. You know, I'm not asking you to go and make 10 million quid. I'm asking you to go for a walk every day. It's not hard. I'm asking you to count some calories. That's not difficult, but it is difficult in their brain. And often I sit there, I'm thinking, why is it so hard for people to grasp this, And I read books. I've bought so many books on psychology, on mindset, on habit changing, and they all give great advice. They all, and I try to implement that, but still, there's something there. And again, it's that they're swimming without knowing where they're going. So, but I want to give them the direction. But then, like you said at the beginning of our call, before we started talking, is the fact that, that's just one aspect of their life. They've then got the husband and the wife, maybe there, the kids, the homeschooling, whatever, like currently at the moment, the job, they may be very unhappy with their job. So there's other things taking over that's making them swim in all the directions. And I find that really a tough one to deal with humans.
And I think, Helder, do you know where the difficulty comes in is you live your life in a certain way, right? And you have a thought process and a mindset which creates the version of you that I see in front of me today. Okay. Once you, unless I understand every aspect of your life, I'm never going to understand you. Right. So it's not just you who the conversation, it's your thoughts, your habits, your lifestyles, your upbringing, everything comes into this thing called Helder. Right. There's so many little things that I'm never going to know, which only you know. And that's your truth. Okay. Now, when someone else, unless it becomes a must, which I'm sure it's had for you and it has for me, when it becomes a must, then you find a way. Until it's a must, it's just a nice to have, And like when you're training people, when you're educating or when you're teaching about their body, and they say, oh, I didn't go for a walk because, I was tired, And to you, that doesn't compute because it's just a walk and it's for you. But that being tied to them means that, I was dealing with the kids. I don't get with my missus. I have, family. And my upbringing showed my dad and mum were overweight and obese, and that's all I've ever seen in my life. So all this is alien and new. Do you know what I mean? And that's, I think, where me as well, I can be quite cutthroat with a lot of people in terms of just do it. Like what? But now I'm trying to step and walk in their shoes for a little bit and think,
it's definitely
I get it. Yeah,
it's hard to deal with that kind of thing because your mindset is not where their mindset
100%,
is.
100%.
But to me, and I'll be completely honest with you, to make me a more complete coach, to be better at what I do, I need to understand that in a better way.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm doing things and I'm still educating myself. Just yesterday, I recorded a podcast with a gentleman called Gary. It's all about motivational interviewing. Which I found really useful and something that I'm definitely going to look into because I think it will help me a huge amount and maybe even anyone else, even you, because we all, to a certain extent, when we're dealing with somebody else, whether it's business, whether it's a relationship, a friend, motivational interviewing is a part of that. And it's how we communicate to that person that then allows the other person to be maybe more open. So I found that really, really interesting. And I'm definitely going to be delving a lot more into this motivational interviewing going forward because I think it will make me a better person and a better coach. There's always avenues there.
Yeah. And I think, you're saying, and that comes down to the quality of the questions you ask, right? So what I've understood about life, okay? What I'm sitting here today talking to you, that has happened through many minutes, hours, days, months, years of getting to me to this stage where I feel not just the confidence to do this, but I have enough knowledge and maybe enough people skills that I can actually talk to people. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So the quality of my life right now is based on the quality of the decisions I made 5 years ago, 5 minutes ago, 5 hours ago, and the quality of those decisions is based on the knowledge I had to make those decisions. So if you want to improve the quality of your life, you need to improve the quality of your knowledge to make better decisions. So if I say in 5 years, I want my life to be here, what decisions do I need to make today to make that happen? And I think that's huge because so there's very little patience in the world now. No one wants to say, if I look at you, so Helder, do you know, if I said to you, do you know what I think, the way you, from the talks we've had and the information I've had about your life, I think maybe you can get onto an international stage and coach not just online, but top business people with an immersive experience of, mind and body, where you get them from the boardroom to the bedroom in 12 weeks, for example. And this is high flyers only. Okay. If I said that's going to be your plan and I want you to achieve this in the next 3 years, you have to then start deciding, who do I need to become to do this, right? And to become this person, who do I need to surround myself with? What do I need to start reading? What do I need to start learning? And how do I need to change my mind, right? Yeah. So therefore, it's those decisions you make today that's going to make that happen, if you really want that to happen, right?
Absolutely.
And therefore,
it's creating that path, right?
100%. And it's making the decisions and surrounding yourself with the information to allow you to believe in yourself that this is possible.
100%.
How do you know your relationship with your wife, Selena? How do you think that helps you as a man?
Oh, it's everything. Like, and you know what? You don't realize it until you have someone there, like Selena, who pretty much just makes your life. She makes my life easy, and I think that's the most important thing for me. One of the things, say from past experiences, is you get up in the morning and you're thinking of doing something, such as, for example, starting a podcast, or starting to read a book, or a new habit that you want to create, and you think, oh, she may not like that. I think that might be a problem. I don't have that thought ever, ever. Like, I can just decide whatever I want to do, and I can sit down with Selena and she's like, all right, I'll support you. If it makes sense and you're not doing anything silly, she's not one to say, oh, why are you doing that for? So I feel the sense of freedom, even though I'm married. And I really don't take that for granted. I really don't. And I tell her that all the time. I said, the fact that I can just be who I am 100% of the time, whether I'm talking about you, I'm talking to you, I'm not with you, I can be myself. And people can say whatever they want to say, and they go back to Selena and she goes, yeah, I know what it's like. I know what it's said. Yeah. So I never feel like I'm in this entrapment. I feel like I'm a free spirit. I'm a free person. I'm my own person. I don't feel like I'm being watched or I'm being told what to be like, and that to me is why she's amazing, because she allows me to be who I want to be, and I think the phrase else out there. I wouldn't want anything else. I'm so happy it's unreal.
And the phrase that sprung to mind just when you were speaking about her is, beside every amazing man is an amazing woman. A lot of the time you're at the forefront, people are seeing you, but you have chosen this person to be with, right? So in terms of, just giving some advice to people who are not married, maybe they're single, maybe they're with a girlfriend and not sure. What do you think, what kind of conversation do you think these people need to be having before deciding to take the path of marriage?
Well, for me, to be honest with you, it's all about communication, being 100% honest. Just don't lie. And from the beginning, just tell them exactly what you are, what you're about, what you want, what you don't want. And if they're not willing to be part of that, then see you later. It doesn't matter how beautiful they are, how much money they've got, how hot you think they are. It doesn't matter, because that's just a few bits. And if you want to be with that person for the rest of your life, you need to be upfront and honest with them every single day. Like, one of the things that we have, me and Selena, is we never go to sleep upset with each other. Never. Never, never, never. If I've got something on my mind, I have to sit down with her and communicate with her before we go to sleep. about how I'm feeling, and vice versa. Whether it's an uncomfortable conversation to have, you still have to have it. And we have found that, even not just when we got married, but even before, when we were just dating, we have found that, there's certain situations that would have come up, and I didn't like it. And I'm like, well, how am I going to say this to her? And then you have to look, I need to sit down with you. I've got something on my mind that is bugging me a little bit. And this is what it is. And then she'll just explain to me, this is why I did this, and this, and this. And then we have an understanding, and then it's cool. We get on with it, right? Whereas if, for example, and it's happened in the past with other relationships, you keep it inside, you keep it inside, you keep it inside. You don't tell them because you don't want to have an argument. You don't want to get upset. And then it becomes this big snowball. And in the end, everything comes out. And then it becomes this huge problem. And then it doesn't work, right? So for me, the biggest thing I would say to anybody out there, I'm not an expert in relationships whatsoever, but the one thing that I would say is just don't lie, just be upfront. If you've been with 30 women, tell them. Tell your new girlfriend, I've been with 30 women. Don't say, oh, no, babe, I've only been with 2 people. No, because it'll come out one day, and then you're in trouble.
And I think the 3 words that spring to mind from everything you said is live your truth. And that takes a certain investment in yourself, in belief in yourself, confidence. And the analogy comes to mind, don't be attached to anyone. If you're willing to let someone be and let someone go, they'll always be there because they're meant to be there.
Totally. Yeah? Totally. One of the things I say, and she hates me for this, but it's the truth. And I think this is coming again from my upbringing and from what I went through. And again, it's made me who I am today. And whether this is a good thing or a bad thing, I don't really know. But I always tell her, if you leave, I'll be okay.
Yes.
I always said, She goes, well, what do you mean you'll be okay? I goes, I'll be okay. Like, of course, I'll be sad, I'll be upset. You're the love of my life, and I'll be very upset and sad, but I'll survive and I'll get on with life, And you know why I think this is, and I've told her many times, because I've lost so many people throughout my life, starting with my granddad, then my parents moving me to a different country where I had no friends, so I lost all my close friends, all my family, cousins, aunties, uncles, all of them, like overnight. And then we moved house, God knows how many times, for the first 5 years of living in the UK. So I don't get attached to anything. I can't. And I think the reason for that is because of all those things that happened to me as a child. Like, I can't get attached that much. So people say, you're so cold. I'm not cold. I'm just telling you how I feel. This is the truth, right? And I communicate the truth every time. I don't lie. And then it is what you see is what you get. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to be who I am the whole time. And the truth is, right, I can be really close to you, Bhavish, really close. Like, I can see you every day. I can build a relationship with you every day. But if tomorrow you do something that upsets me, I will drop you like a stone, literally, and I'll never think about you again. And that's just how I am. I'm just like that. And I think it's not because I'm cold. It's not because I'm this inhuman person. It's because of what I went through in life. So I've got to a point where now I'm so comfortable in my own self, in my own head, I can be alone. I don't need nobody. Of course we need people all the time. I get that. But deep down, I can move on regardless. Does that make sense?
Of course it does. And I think what sprung to mind while you're speaking and all the things you were talking about, I think we as humans, if you look going back to the origination of the Homo sapiens, so there were 6 types of, different types of humans. And why did the sapiens survive and everyone else died? We weren't the smartest, we weren't the strongest. One thing we had was our ability to adapt to our environment. Whatever we got put into, we learned, we worked out, and we moved on. Okay. And I think that from your life education, what's happened is that you've learned to adapt to everything around you, and you've adapted again, and you've adapted again, and you've adapted again. And because that's always happened, you have no fear of holding on to anything. You like lots of things, but you have no real attachment where you say, I need that. I don't need anything. It's like I said to Mark, I don't need anything. You give me a backpack, I'm all right. I'll be on my way, no matter what. Do you know what I mean? At any time. And I think that's where so many people that probably even listen to this, have little faith in themselves to survive and thrive, whatever the situation. Like you said, Helder, I have a similar mindset in terms of, I don't need much. I know I'll always be all right. Do you know what I mean? No matter what. Because life has taught me that. There's, I can't be, you, like I said, you're married. I have kids. I have family. It's like, last year, my cousin came back from Dubai. And so she's living at her parents' house and they only had one car. So she was saying to me, Bab, it's hard because my parents always need the car. I need to get around, blah, 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 blah. And I said, here, I have my car. And she goes, but I have another car. I said, Versha's got a car. I've got bike. I've got legs. I'll be fine. Do you know what I mean? And I said, let me just do it because it's harder to do it. So let me just give it to her and see how I just adapt and see how I get on. Since that day, that's been over a year, I've not had a car. Do you know what I mean? And I'm fine, because I don't attach my life to these things,
Yeah. Well,
so moving forward, just something that would be quite interesting to me with your perspective. What does self-love mean to you?
Self-love, for me, it's about being happy with yourself in here.
Mm-hmm.
So because self-love, you can look at self-love in terms of, I think people look at self-love more what they see in the mirror physically. Whereas it's not what's the external version of us that really matters, it's what's in here. As long as and this is something it's really important to me. When I go to sleep at night, if there's anything, and I mean anything that's bothering me, I need to sort it out. So that's always my bright light to say, right, I can't sleep because I'm thinking about this situation. Therefore, that's a problem. Therefore, I need to sort it. So self-love for me is going to bed every night and don't have that thought.
Perfect.
I just want to go to sleep every night with a clear conscience that I'm doing the right things.
And tomorrow's a new day, right?
Tomorrow's a new day, yeah. And it doesn't matter, if I feel uncomfortable the way I look externally and it's bothering me and I can't sleep about it, I'm going to do something. If I feel like I'm not comfortable with the people that surround me and they're doing my head in and I can't sleep about it, I'm going to do something about it. And that's what self-love is. It's doing something that clears your mind to a point where you fall asleep at night beautifully.
So what do you think inspires you today?
What inspires me? I tell you what inspires me. I think it depends on what you're looking at in terms of life. If you're looking in terms of what inspires me as a person to do what I do, for example, my business, what inspires me is to help people change their view on life when it comes to health and well-being. Is to help people understand that sleep should be the number one priority. People that have neglected sleep for years because they don't get it. They don't get that is the fountain of life. That is the fountain of health. It's to make people understand that food is really important, nutrition is really important, and to really give them another 10 to 15 years. That drives me. That gives me the hump to get out of bed in the morning. But you know what doesn't, and the people may think, wow, but you're a personal trainer. It's not going. I don't really like to go to a gym and train you and say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, well done, see you later. I can't stand it. I hate it. What I like to do is I like to go to my hub, for example, and educate you on how your bicep is moving. It's not just a bicep curl. It's the fact that you have muscle insertions that insert here, insert here, insert here. And by you doing this movement, that's what's happening. That gives me drive, right? And most of the general population don't want to know that because it doesn't really matter to them. And I get that. But that's what I love because I love to educate. And by coaching you or going to take you to the gym and just counting numbers, I'm not educating you. You are learning nothing. I want you to come and work with me, and the day you've left, you know exactly what you're going to do when you walk into any gym in the world. you know, right, I'm doing this exercise because this is what's happening. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course.
Because I think all of us should be aware of physically and physiologically and mentally what is going on. Why are we doing this? Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course.
So my job, what I like to do is educate. It's not. I'm not necessarily a coach. I'm not necessarily a personal trainer. I'm an educator. And that's how I see myself. So at the beginning, I had this thing, and some people will probably tell you because they would have heard me say this. I don't like the term personal trainer. I don't like it. I know it's something that we call ourselves because it's been put out there. But I don't want to be known as a personal trainer. I don't even want to be known as a coach. I want to be known as an educator. I want to be known as someone who has come into your life and really has changed the way you perceive things and is giving you some knowledge on whatever we've come across.
And do you know why this resonates with me really deeply, Heldays? Because, you know, like my wife's in the, she trains a prenatal, postnatal fitness. And she, exactly what you said there is, I hear that all the time from her, because she goes, I'm not interested in the whole just come here, do this and leave. Do you understand? I need to understand to the core, the anatomy, the nutrition, what goes on in the mind to create the person I'm seeing in front of me. And where's that come from and where to go? And for me to do that, I need to educate myself to a micro level where I understand the biometrics, the micronutrients that go into the body, you know? And that she goes, you know, the PT industry, I don't know if you can probably give an input into it. The PT industry is bastardized itself in terms of pricing, in terms of saying, you know, like when they say, I train someone and, you know, I get paid like £5 an hour, £10 an hour, whatever it is, right? But you are giving someone life, you're giving something of health, and you're putting your own skills and knowledge down by pricing yourself at a point like that. And just, you know, to her, it doesn't make sense anymore. She goes, that's why I don't want to be in that field. I don't want to be known as a PT because I'm not.
Yeah.
Say again?
The problem that I think is that we live in a world where it's all about monetary value, right? It's all about how much money do you earn, how much does this cost? For example, you know, I get messages daily. Oh, how much do you charge for personal training? And I'll be honest with you, I've got the prices on the website, but it's like, I mean, if that's all you're bothered about, you know, I've never spoke to you before.
Yeah.
You're contacting me now, and the first thing you ask me is how much I charge. Like, if you've been watching all my stuff, reading all my stuff, you wouldn't be asking me how much I charge. You'd be asking, when can I see you?
When can I see you? Yeah.
You know. So as soon as I get that question, it puts me off that person immediately. I don't want to work with them immediately.
Yeah.
Because it's like, so you know what I do? I say, here's my website. Go and have a look at it.
100%.
Because I actually can't be bothered to talk to you because you haven't done your research.
Yeah.
You haven't looked about. Maybe someone told you about Helder Barosso and you go, how much do you charge? You haven't looked at my website. You haven't looked at my social media. You don't know what I'm all about. So all your bothers about how much it's going to cost you. Well, it's going to cost you a lot. So you might as well say now that you don't want it. Does that make sense?
Of course. So exactly. You know, because you value yourself, Helder. You value what ingredients you've put into your life to be making the person you are. And when someone's buying into you, they're buying into the whole thing. They're not just buying time, like 50 minutes of your time. They're buying into what's into it, right? Yeah.
It feels like all they want is how much you charge per hour.
But you need to stick at this. You need to continue to say, do you know what? If that's all you're interested, because the bottom metric, like you said, is money per hour, right? But you don't know what you're getting for that hour. I'm not a trainer. Do you know what I mean? And
that's the problem.
You need to stick at that, and you are going down the right, you know, because you're in it for the long game. And if you're in it for the long game, you need to continue on this path. It's music to my ears when I hear this, because you're valuing yourself, and we need more people in this world valuing themselves. Because as soon as you become just a number, we're no more than a machine, are we, really?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I like I said to you about the beginning of the mentors, I want to be the mentor for people in the health and well-being side of things. I want to be the one that they look at, and you know what, I learned this from Helder. Helder educated me on this. Helder educated me. Not Helder told me to do this. Because by me telling you, what are you learning? Nothing.
Yeah.
If I say to you, right, I want you to eat this diet on this plan, go and do it, you're going to lose all the weight. But then Helder goes away, and then what? You don't know nothing. You just follow the plan. What's the point of that? But that's what most personal trainers do.
Yeah.
They give them a plan. Here's a training plan. Here's a diet plan. Oh, grand, fantastic before and after. See you later. That doesn't work for me. That's why I don't want to be called myself a personal trainer or as a coach, or even a coach. I want to be known as a mentor or as an educator.
So again, moving forward and looking forward, what skills do you think you still need to gain, master, or cultivate to make you the person you'd like to be?
A huge amount. I don't think I'll ever get to a point where I feel like I've got all the skills.
So what kind of things are you working on at the moment then?
So right now for me, and I said this on a podcast yesterday, for me it's all about mindset, it's all about psychology at this moment in time. So when I started my business I hate to call it a business as well, because it comes down to money again, right?
Yeah.
But the reason I started where I started to become a mentor, to become an educator, came from the background of obviously me training, me being a bodybuilder, me enjoying that world. But then I thought, right, I've got a lot to give here. So the nutrition was what really got me. Like, it's what really I'm fascinated about nutrition. I'm fascinated how the body works. So I went far into that. I could go further. Of course we can. You could become a dietitian, but I don't want to go down that route. I know enough to work with the general population, but I'm still continue to learn, of course. But I don't need to take it in terms of PhDs. I'm not bothered about that. So I know enough about that. Then I've gone into biomechanics. That's something I want to go more into, biomechanics, because I like to nerd into that quite a bit. I know a lot about it, but I want to go to an extra level now. I'm actually starting a course. Luckily, I was going to go to America to do this course. It's called RTS by electrical Tom Purvis. And he was the inventor of this RTS program. And it's all to do with biomechanics and how we move moment arms, which is really, if I talk to you about moment arm, you probably don't know what that means. But engineers will know what that means. But then it's more the engineering of the body and how we move. So I'm going to start actually doing that. I've just started an online platform education. So I'm starting that next month, which I'm excited about. So that was the next step for me, which is biomechanics, how we move. The next step now is, which should have been the first step if I'm completely honest, is the psychology side of things, the mindset, the habit changing. That to me is a huge field that I still need a lot of work on. So again, I had a podcast with Gary yesterday, which is all about the motivational interviewing. I'm going to be looking a lot more into that. I've read 4 books so far: Atomic Habits, The Power of Habit, Switch, and another one which I forget now, Psycho-Cybernetics, which those 4 books are unbelievably good in terms of the mindset. So for me, my continuous education to become better is going to be to do with this. Not just for me, I think it's going to help me a huge amount myself, but to help people that I work with.
What you can bring into the world, right?
I just want to be able to understand people better. And I want to find a way of being able to communicate in a better way, because one of my biggest downfalls is my communication skills. And I'm not going to sit here and say I'm not perfect. My communication skills are very black and white, which is terrible. And I know that that's not a good thing. I'm very, well, I do it or I don't do it. Does that make sense? Even I went for a walk this morning with my wife, and she tells you, when people leave for whatever reason, you just say, all right, see you later. And I do. Like, and that comes across very like you don't care. But I may care. I just don't show. And I need to be better at that. So I need to improve my communication skills in a manner that I stop upsetting people, because that's not what I want to do.
So what book are you reading right now then?
So I've just finished Switch by Dan and Chip. Now that is spot on. Really, really good. And I'm going to start reading the interviewing, the motivation interviewing book now. I bought that on the back of the conversation I had with Gary yesterday. I'm looking forward to that, actually.
And what podcast you listen to at the moment?
Podcasts, you know what? I listen to quite a few, but one that I'm listening at the most is London Real.
Okay.
By the host is Brian Bro.
Brian, yeah.
You know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on right now with the current situation in the world, and he's interviewing some really interesting people in regards to this coronavirus stuff. Very, very. Well, put it this way: the Facebook is shutting down because of people he's talking to, and it's very controversial. But I like to listen to both sides of the story.
Of course.
I like to know what. I don't just listen to one source. I like to look different and then make my own conclusions on things. So London is a great podcast.
So what would you say? Would you say is your superpower?
Superpower?
Yeah.
I don't think I've got a superpower.
You do? I've got patience. Patience is my superpower.
I don't know. I definitely don't have patience as a superpower, that's for sure.
Do you know what it is, Howard? I can see something in you. What you've got is this ability to cut through the crap. And what I mean by that is, I don't think you listen to words so much. You see how someone lives their life. And when someone says something and they're living it in a different way, you will be open and say, you know what, that's bullshit. You are not.
Yeah,
you know.
I am very, but I think you may look at that in terms of a superpower. Other people may look at that and think, well, you arrogant git, or I'm like, who are you to talk to me like that? You know, a lot of people don't like that side of me.
But whether you like it or not, I think I think it's a strength. I think it's huge. Well, you know, even on if you look at my Facebook profile, on one of the things that I live by and stand by is, judge me by my actions, not my words. Because that says to me so much. You know, so many people talk so much these days and actually back it up with nothing about their life. And this to me means nothing. And I'd rather not be involved with someone like that, because to me, words are cheap, actions are where the value are.
Totally. I guess you know, one of the things about you that's really good is that, from every conversation I've had with you, you're very good at reading people. I don't see myself as having any superpowers, to be quite honest with you. But you know, what you've just told me is something that I've heard a lot of people say to me. So I guess that's something that can be a strength and also a weakness depending on who you're talking to.
No, but I think everything is a strength and weakness, isn't it? And
yeah,
it's your ability to almost be, you know, either say, this is who I am and that's how I'm going to stick. The difficulty is you'll become like Marmite. Some people hate you, some people love you. Do you know what I mean? And I think the more people you're trying to reach, there has to be a middle ground somewhere where you say, actually, do you know what? I stand for this, but I respect you because you're not in that space. And that's fine.
100%. And that is where my mindset's now taking me. You know what I talked to you about, the thing stopping me from sleeping at night?
Yeah.
That's one of them. The fact that I need to be better at this. I need to be better at understanding people. Therefore, I need to do something about it, which I am. And it's not going to be an overnight thing. It's going to take me many books and many people to speak to and many situations to happen for me to build this within me. But it will happen because I never give up.
And Helder, you've got a long life ahead, bro. So,
absolutely.
You know, 60 years plus, right? 60 years plus, right? Still.
I'm only a quarter of the way.
Okay, so as we sort of approach the end of our conversation, there's a couple of things which I think, to understand you as a person, I think to me words are really important. Okay. So, you know, like you said, you're now at the end of your life. Okay. You're 160 years old and you've surpassed even your expectations. You've lived a really good life. You've learned a lot. You've seen a lot, but you're lying there or maybe sitting there and you don't have the energy to speak anymore. But what you've got is the universe has said you've got one last moment to write 3 words. Those 3 words are what you've learned through your life that you want people to take with them and maybe learn and practice to improve how they live their life. What would you say those 3 words are for you?
Health, love, and happiness.
Perfect. Health,
love and happiness.
Perfect. And for you, do you think that's going to continue for the whole of your life? Do you see them as core facets of you?
Yeah, so I live by 4 things. You only have me to say 3. So
Yeah.
I said
Yeah.
those are the 3 most important ones for me. But I live by 4 pillars: health, wealth, love, and happiness.
Yeah.
That's my 4 pillars that I live every day by. Health being number 1. And the only reason I've got wealth after is because it kind of rhymes.
Yeah.
But they're not really the most important. For me, is health, love, happiness, and then wealth. But wealth is not defined just by monetary
It depends
value.
whatever your metric is for wealth, right?
Absolutely. So for me, I have to, so let's say there's 100% in those 4. I need to make sure that all of them are equally
Balanced, yeah.
balanced, to make sure that I live a very balanced lifestyle in terms of health, and to me, health means not just physically, but mentally health. That's just as important. And that means, doing the right things, not necessarily becoming a monk, because life is not about how much are you doing perfectly well. It's about having a balance in your health. So, I drink a glass of wine. Is that healthy? Yeah. There's nothing wrong with having a glass of wine. There's something wrong with having a bottle of wine every day. But, it's about having a balance, right? Because when people look at me in terms of health, they perceive this perfect person that just eats boring food, that just exercise. Look, this is no joke. Just 2 days ago, I had a message on Instagram of a gentleman, and he says, you must train 7 days a week, twice a day. I'm like, you for real? You don't think I do anything else in life? I just train and then do nothing else. I train 4 times a week for 45 minutes. That's it. And I've been doing that for years. There's this misunderstanding of what health is, and to look the way I look. You don't have to train this hard twice a day. People think it takes over my life. It's just a part of my life. It's not everything. So this is what I mean. You need to have a balance between all of those, because if you're very, very healthy, but you've got nothing to work for, then what's the point?
Yeah.
If you're very, very healthy, but you've got no love to share, what's the point? If you're very, very healthy, but you've got no happiness in your life, what's the point? So for me, every day is all about having those areas. And you know what? It's like splitting a plate in a health bit, in a wealth bit, and you're splitting all those plates all at once. And then all of a sudden, for example, work takes over a little bit, and you've got lots of things going on, and your health starts deteriorating. That plate's going to fall. You better go and catch that plate soon, mate, because if you don't, something's going to happen. What that might happen, it could be you get high cholesterol. It could be you get type 2 diabetes. It could be you have a heart attack. So don't let that happen. Go and pick that plate up and keep it spinning.
Perfect.
Does that make sense?
100%. And I think the final thing is, so this podcast is called Bigger Than the Hustle. And right now you're bigger than the world. Okay. I'm going to give you a microphone. And that microphone is connected to every single person, every 7.58 billion people in this world. Okay. They can hear you. They can understand you. They're all awake. There's no language barrier. They all understand exactly what you're saying. In 30 seconds, what would your message be to the whole world?
My message would be yourself at all times. Never think you know everything. Always be willing to learn and listen. That's it.
Perfect. And God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, right?
Exactly. And I'll be honest with you, I'm still working on that myself.
I'm sure you are.
No word of a lie. And again, I'm not 100%. I'm not perfect. I'm still working. And the key is to carry on working, to becoming a better version of ourselves every single day.
And I don't think you ever want to get to the point where you actually know.
No. What's the point, right?
What's the point? 100%.
I'll tell you one thing. I don't know. One thing I just want to mention before I go, which I think is also really important, and people may not believe this, but I only started reading books 7 years ago.
Interesting.
So one of the things, if you don't read, and I used to be like this, oh, what's the point? Why do people read? So stupid, and especially because I had this thing, I didn't like school very much. So reading was a negative thing for me. But the best thing that's ever happened to me is being able to stop reading again and read about every little different thing, whatever is an interest to you.
And I think also what's really good with technology now is you don't actually have to read the book, you listen to it. Absolutely. All the time. Fill your time with that, right? Immerse your mind in things that first of all interest you, things that will make you grow and make you a better person for the people around you, because that's what it's about, right?
And one of the things I'll tell you, whether a book's interesting, this is what happens to me. If you're finding a book interesting, you're reading something and think, I need to tell someone this. I need to tell the world this. And you know what? Very often what I do is I stop and I write that whole sentence in my notes in my phone. And then that's when you know that book is got you.
Yeah. So just to end, Helder, I'd like to acknowledge you. I think you turn up in the world every day. You take your health seriously, and it's important that you live your life in a way that's true to you, and one that will help so many people moving forward. You know, I just think, you know, you turn up in the world in the right space. You use humor, you use your mind, and you've come from a journey which could have broken a lot of people. You know, you could have got on that truck and gone back to Portugal. We would never have seen you, and who knows what happened from there. And I'm glad your brother was there, because it allowed you to stay and you to go through the pain and through the trenches and come out the side as such a strong person, someone that would shine their light for all the people around them. So I thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing today, and just keep doing what you do, man, because you're doing an awesome
You're welcome. Thank you for having me on your podcast. It's been very nice. You know what? One of the things that these kind of conversations just give me more energy. You know, I'm pumped up right now.
100%. Perfect.
I could talk for another 10 hours with different I'm being serious. And you know what? After our last conversation, I went afterwards with my wife, like, wow, you're full of energy. And I think I told you this when we recorded my podcast, is that we need to surround ourselves with people that are radiators.
Yeah.
People that give you a huge amount of energy instead of drainers. People that drain that energy out of you. So, you know, you are one of those people that brings that energy to me and makes me feel alive. So for that reason, I hope we can continue to speak and continue
and we'll do this again, man. I'm building a studio and we'll do this again face to face. When things are down, yeah?
There's a lot more where it came from, mate.
So I'll put Helder's details on the show notes. I'll send you all the details, put this podcast on. And guys, have a great time till the next one. And we'll see you soon. Take care, Helder.
Take care, buddy. Bye-bye.
The probability of me and Barry being born is at 1 trillion to 1. Being on this planet is a gift. So I feel that because it's a gift, we should update differently and just be the best person or the best version we can be.